Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot, and in today's video we are going to analyze the trailer of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 that has just dropped on the 9th of June 2024. It also includes a release date, which is going to be on the 19th of November, that much being said at the beginning already. Now, let's go ahead and go right into the trailer, but before we do that, just a quick word over here. Once again, there have been quite a couple of loud minority there complaining about, oh, there's nothing good in it for airline flight simulators, it's only Xbox arcade gaming. I'm honestly so sick of these people. First of all, just open your eyes. As you can see in today's video, there is a lot of stuff in there for airline simmers as well. And secondly, if you don't like it, just don't comment on it. But I'm getting so tired of all those complaints, especially if they just have no common grounds. Alright, let's go right into the trailer then. So, we are starting on the YouTube video Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 Xbox Games Showcase 2024. It's 2 minutes 33, but there is so much in there that really deserves to be said. Alright, let's start. Once again developed by Asus, which is a good thing. So, and this is basically where we can stop already. We do see some beautiful pictures here. And, well, the interesting things, in my opinion, are, of course, the lighting engine, which is where the focus is drawn on, but also what we can see in the close-up proximity on the ground there. So those are some pretty good 3D models right here on the ground. And while, of course, we can say in the past they have shown us some beautiful modeling from those areas where missions focused on, we do need to add that we thought the same thing when they showed us the terrain of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 for the first time. And back then everyone was like, well, they surely have not done that globally. Well, they have done it globally. So I'm a little bit positive over here from those details that we see, especially since we can see those same details in the next couple of shots as well. So let's go into it. Again, notice the ground down here. Or down here. Or down here. Alright, so this one is really worth pausing on, because there is a lot of stuff that we can see in here. First of all, let's start with the obvious things. So we've got the 787 right in the front over here, and behind that we got a couple of 777s. And not just a couple of them, but actually different models of the 777. So we can start on the right hand side here with the 300ER model, and then going over to the left hand side, that looks a little bit shorter to me. So this is probably the 200ER. We can also see that by looking at the engines, which are different over here. So they do seem to have different engine models included there for the different versions. Now, we don't know whether those are just going to be AI aircraft or whether they are going to be flyable, but personally, I would not be surprised if they just purchased the models from Captain Zim and included those as AI or maybe even as flyable models. I would absolutely not be surprised. If you think about it, it would make sense due to the similar avionics between the 787s and the 777s. So they do have some stuff over there already that they could probably just port forward to make them good default aircraft. The next thing that's really worth noting on this image over here is the fact that we have airline liveries visible. And if you take a close look, we do have some ground equipment here. Like, for example, on the aircraft on the right over there, we do have the shit truck visible right in front. And then in the background, probably some maintenance van or so. While on the airplane on the left side here, we do have the fuel truck, we have some stairs, and then we also have what's probably a catering vehicle. But let's go forward and we'll talk a little bit about that in the next couple of parts of this video. Also worth noting at the top over there, that little airplane, it's not visible really well, but it doesn't really look like either a 787 or 777 to me, so maybe an A321. Well, let's go forward. And this is of course the brand new surprise that we can see, the Airbus A330. Now, In the first trailer, they showed some images of the Beluga XL, which is based on the A330, so everyone was thinking like, okay, if they are developing the avionics for an A330, sure enough, they must include the passenger version as well, right? Well, they did. And over here we can clearly see it. Now, couple of things that we can note over here. First of all, the modeling is of really good standard, and we'll see that later on in the interior shots as well. We do have chocks in place, we do have the pitot covers in place and static port covers, and we have engine covers over here. They also tell us the engine version, which is the General Electric CF6 engine, which is one of the common engines of the A330, but later on there will be a couple of interesting hints in regards to engines. If we take a quick moment to look at what else we can see on these images, then just take a moment to look at the aircraft in the background there. So this one over here obviously just is our standard A320, but that one on the side over here looks to me like it might be an A319 that we can see over there. Not 100% sure, but it does surely look like it. And also note the engine versions that you can see fitted to these. From this very perspective, it's hard to say, but on the first glimpse they don't really seem to look like Neo engines, but much rather like the conventional engine option. And that is of course supported by the fact that you don't have sharklets on there, which are default on the Neo, but that you actually have wingtip fences. So maybe this hints into a direction of getting a completely new standard AI model system included in the simulator that we didn't have before, especially seeing that we had the 777s visible on earlier shots as well. Just a line of thought here. Beautiful modeling they've done there. Note how the remove before flight dongle is actually moving in the wind. Alright, and this one is a beautiful shot from the inside from the cockpit. Now, you can clearly see this one is taken on the A330, as you can see from the landing gear indications and the fact you've got the engine display available on the nav displays. And if we just go forward a little bit here, that was actually too far forward. If we just go forward a little bit here, then you can nicely see that the engine thrust limit here is 102.2%, so it is over 100, which is completely correct for the CF6 engines. They go to about 105, 106% N1. And what we can also clearly see from the modeling here is that this is done by InniBuilds. So if you like the InniBuilds A320neo, which I personally absolutely do, then I'm sure you're going to like this one as well. And seeing that they come as default aircraft to the sim, I have a little bit of hope that maybe Fly-by-Wire can start creating mods based on them. What's also quite cool down here is you see the cabin ready announcement. So this is modeled. And we also can see that a little bit of stuff is still work in progress, as is obvious from looking at the standby instruments over here, which don't seem to be fully implemented yet, just by looking at the bank and the pitch indicated, while the aircraft is obviously still on the ground. And this over here is the next very interesting feature. So just by looking at this, what can we see over here? So we do have passengers walking through the jetway. We do have people standing down here on the ramp, and we have a pushback tug that's readily awaiting connecting to the aircraft. Now, I told you in the earlier shot already that we could see stuff like catering equipment, fuel trucks, and, well, even the shit truck over there. So, if you ask me, that hints to a remodeled ground services part of the simulator. Now, what leads me to think of this? Let's take a quick moment to think as if we were Microsoft. We want to make some fresh money from our simulator. What could we possibly do? Well, we have created a pretty good base simulator with Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 already. But now we want to go ahead and make some new money. So we need to implement some new stuff there. So the obvious thing is to do market research, and that is going to show us what kind of add-ons are currently running rather well. And obviously there are a couple which are best sellers in the flight sim industry, but which are not available on Marketplace. And I'm mostly thinking of two add-ons over here. Number one is the Phoenix A320, and that could possibly explain why they created the InnyBuilds A320, because they just needed to have a good level A320 available for their simulators. And second, there is GSX. And GSX, without a doubt, is one of those add-ons that 99% of flight simmers just need to have if they are flying airliners. But only a light version of it was available on Marketplace, and the full version that included all those lovely features was never available there. So, in my opinion, it would be the obvious choice for the Microsoft team to decide that, well, we are going to include our own enhanced ground services in the new simulator as a feature for the airline flight simmers. And in my opinion, this is what you can see pretty well on those little shots over here. Over here, once again, we can clearly see the InnyBuilds EFB, so this very much confirms that InnyBuilds are the ones creating the A330. And what's also really nicely seen over here is that they have enhanced the models of the pilots. And do note that you actually see a captain sitting here, and not just a first officer. We actually see a captain over here. This is another one of those shots. Beautiful. Now, we can clearly see marketing didn't give too much into, configuring the airplane and stuff like that. But there is another very interesting thing that we can see in this very shot, and that is right up here. Now, it's not that easy to see due to the resolution and because it is absolutely not in focus over here, but what we see over here on the engine control panel is the N1 mode switches. Now, N1 mode basically makes the engines controlled through N1. But if you're thinking, well, but we have CF6 engines over here, those are controlled with N1 anyway, then you're completely right. So the presence of these switches hints to the fact that there will be more than just the CF6 engine models available. Probably there will be the Rolls-Royce models as well, because those are driven by EPR, and the Rolls-Royce aircraft, those are actually the ones that have the N1 mode switches on the overhead panel. So probably some work in progress over there, but I do believe we can say that they plan to have more than just one engine model available on the aircraft, just based on the presence of these switches. Nice to see the effect of the boogie landing gear as well, and this leads me to another fact that I really hope they are going to include, and that is an A330, as well as any other wide-body aircraft that has a boogie, is landed 3 times. You don't just make a single landing with it like you do in Flight Simulator 2020. In Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, you just have one point of touchdown on the main wheels. But the A330 really is a beast when landing it. You first gotta touch down the aft wheels, then you gotta smoothly fly the front of the boogie on the runway, and if you don't do that, then the smoothest aft wheel touchdown is completely killed off by the fact that the forward boogie smashes onto the ground. And this is enhanced by the fact that once the aft part of the boogie is down, the spoilers come up, so the front part really tends to fall down onto the runway. So you gotta land the main wheel twice. And then you gotta fly the nose wheel onto the ground, which is the third landing. So if you want passengers to be happy with your landings on the A330, you gotta do 3 smooth touchdowns and not just a single one on the main wheel, as is unfortunately the only way to model a touchdown with a boogie in FS 2020. So hopefully the fact that we can see the boogies tilted over here hints to a more enhanced landing physics in FS 2024. Alright, so that much of new stuff for airline flight simmers. Obviously career stuff for the general aviation is available as well, and I can surely see myself doing some of that because it just looks really cool to do that stuff. And I tell you honestly, picking up a banner is not all that easy. Now I've just paused it over here because the executive VIP charter service we see over here actually is looking quite cool as well. You can see you've got passengers coming out of the terminal down here. We're in Aspen, by the way. Passengers coming out of the terminal, pilot is waiting over here for the passengers to board. And we have the Cirrus Vision Jet. Now this is not news, it was known before that this aircraft would be included with the new sim, but it's a really cool plane, I can tell you. And if we can do this with all business aircraft available in the new sim, that would surely be pretty cool. And the fact that passengers are coming out of the terminal once again points at a much enhanced ground services simulation to me over here. So this just got to be a whole lot of fun doing this kind of flying, agricultural and stuff like that, or all the search and rescue over here. That's just got to be a lot of fun, but let's not focus too much on that stuff. But there will be this one, the A400M. It was known that IndyBuilds is doing it, but let's just look at this model. I mean, honestly, this just looks superb, doesn't it? And if it comes at a similar level of system depth as the other aircraft IndyBuilds has produced, then I'm sure this is going to be a good load of fun to fly this one. Especially in missions like this. Okay, going forward then, next up is going to be one shot that I am really thrilled about. Well, I said next up, it is a little bit of a while waiting for it. Beautiful lighting model over here, by the way, as we can see. Same over here with the Burj Al Arab. Over here we get a glimpse at the night lighting, and it does look like it is once again improved a little bit to me. Like, you can see a bit more of the details on the terrain over here, since the sun isn't fully down yet. But you already have all those night lights, which just makes for a really good looking landscape. Alright, take a moment to look at this shot over here. Do you recognize this little airplane? That's a Twin Otter. And that is not just a Twin Otter, that is the exact livery that the Aerosoft Twin Otter came with. So, if you ask me, it is a safe bet over here. The Aerosoft Twin Otter disappeared from sale because Microsoft bought it to include it in the new simulator. I'm 99.9% sure that this is what happened. So, for all of those of you waiting for the Aerosoft Twin Otter, well, here it comes again. Alright, apart from that, lovely Top Gun Maverick reference over there. And this shot is once again an interesting one, because we can clearly see seasons over here. They are including seasons in the new simulator. This is clearly a fall scenery that we have over here, autumn. And a couple of nice stunts, but let's focus on the scenery here, which is the interesting point. Some lovely animals. Did you see that lighting? It was not just going from the clouds to the ground, but it was actually going from cloud to cloud. That's something that you do see quite a lot in the real world, and that's really cool there. Also some nice weather, and finally the Aurora Borealis is just beautiful. A quick word on the Northern Lights though. If you have ever seen them from an aircraft, you don't see those lovely colors in the real world, unfortunately. When you see them from an aircraft, they look completely white to the human eye. Only when you put a camera on it and take photos and take shots of them, that's where all the colors come up. But you can't see them with the human eye. And that's it. Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, coming November 19th to our lovely simulator. And that's the new trailer, guys. I do surely hope that you liked this one. Do let me know in the comments below what you think about it. I think there was a lot of stuff in there, and while many people are once again saying like, oh, it's just gonna be arcade gaming for the Xbox user, I completely disagree. We could see hints that there was a lot of stuff coming for airline flight simmers as well. I do hope you found this one interesting. Let me know in the comments below. Let me know if you think that I'm hallucinating and that I'm just making things up over here. Of course, we don't have any confirmation for any of the stuff I've been speculating about, but I do really think that there are some very good hints there, and commercially it does seem to make sense to me as well. So thank you very much for watching, everyone. I do hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below. I'm very much looking forward to what you think about the new trailer. And with all of that said, I'm looking forward to see you all again on the channel in the sooner future. Be sure to let me know in the comments below, and if you liked the video, leave a like on YouTube and subscribe if you're up for more. Finally, if you really love what I'm doing on this channel, would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you for watching and see you all again on the next one.